Hello, good morning, and welcome to Always with Awareness. My name is Awa and Doug.
And my name is Douglas Lodbell. And today we want to talk about the statement, you can only do good with great. So this actually comes from French cooking.
That's right.
Right?
It was shared by a cousin of mine who's a chef, yes.
Yeah, and so when they teach you how to be a chef in France,
That's right.
the first thing they teach you is you can only do good with great. And by that they mean great product.
That's right.
You can't start with a grade C filet and expect a 3-star meal. It just doesn't happen. You have to start with the highest quality, and then you've got around that to execute on the cooking and the sauces and everything else.
Yes.
But we say often, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yes.
And it's proven to be completely true, like all the time.
Yeah.
And so we've expanded that saying to, you can only do good with great, to meaning everything in your life. You can only do good with great.
We use it a lot.
We use it a lot.
Together.
Yeah. This is kind of one of our key sayings, is you can only do good with great. So you can look at it in terms of a relationship. Mm-hmm. You can only do good with great. You want to pick the right person. You want to pick the right, an employee. You can only do good with great. Even a client, even a vendor. If you're hiring a CPA or an attorney or a doctor, you can only do good with great. Like, start with great, right?
That's right.
So let's talk about how that applies in life and how you see it. How you see that manifesting all the time, every day.
Well, and you said it so well. I mean, yes, it is a saying in French cuisine, you can only do good with great. It's so funny. It's not great with good. It's good with great.
Right. You have to start with great, and then you might end up with good.
So the first time I heard that, I was like, oh my God, And my cousin that shared that, the other next one is encore du beurre, toujours du beurre, encore du beurre. Du beurre, toujours du beurre, encore du beurre. So French cuisine is about that. It's great product and butter.
Butter.
More butter.
And then butter.
More butter. But it became
great butter.
Great butter.
Not fake butter. We're talking about
no margarine,
real
right?
salted French butter, and it makes a difference.
Yeah. So, and of course we apply that into, I was saying, you always throw it back at me, or I throw it back at you.
Yeah.
But then I realized that it is a saying that really sticks in everything.
Yeah.
And today we were sharing, I was sharing, a friend of mine whose wife was sharing how this show is helping her see her relationship and see how she needs more support. Mm. And I know most of us will be always like, oh, yeah, well, you can do it yourself. Mm. And yes, as women, we can do a lot by ourselves. As men, they can do a lot without us. But again, we bring it back to this concept of having a partner. And having a partner doesn't mean always you have to be married, right? So just having a partner, what does it mean to have a partner? Why would you choose to not be alone or to not be with many and choose one person and decide to spend life with them? Mm-hmm. And in the moment that you're deciding to spend life with them, what does it mean to you? Because what she was sharing is how in the beginning it's all beautiful and great. And next thing you know, the man is pulled into what they have to do, and you are left home. For most women who are housewives, just waiting. And it's so much easier. I don't know if it's just us African women, but we have a concept of partnership that is really, we do a lot together, right? And that brought us here. And she was just asking for a walk every day.
With her husband.
With her husband.
Yeah.
And the husband is just like, oh, believe me, I mean, she wouldn't do it. We used to do it before. And she's like, yes, we did it before. And then you stop. And I want to do it, but I want to do it with you. Mm-hmm. It's so funny because in here, everybody wants to do things separate. It's almost like, yeah, I want to be having a partner, but I want my space.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't generalize to everyone.
No.
Right? So, there is a lot of this idea.
Yes.
We were with a young person the other day who we really love and who's, in the dating 20s scene. And we said, well, what kind of man do you want? Like, design him. And she goes, well, I want a man, that has a lot of his own stuff going on. I don't want to have to babysit him. And I said, well, how much time do you want to spend with him? He's like, 2.5 days a week, right? Like kind of half time.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, that's, you're already setting a boundary around.
Yes.
Like I want to, and I mean, that's a tough formula.
Yeah.
To make a relationship work when you're already saying, you should do your thing, I should do my thing, and we just kind of meet in the middle.
Exactly.
So that is happening today, for
that is
sure.
happening for this new generation that just go like, well, I like my space, which I'm not saying no, but everything has consequences.
That's really and that's how I think this wraps into you can only do good with great, right?
Exactly.
It's really the concept that everything has an outcome.
That's right.
If you're flying an airplane, which we do, and you are off by just 2 degrees on the heading, just 2 degrees, just barely, but you're doing a 1,000-mile trip, you're going to end up hundreds of miles off at the end. You are not going to be at the destination that you thought you were going to, because you were off in the beginning, right? You didn't set your heading to correct and to stay on track. The first 15% of anything you do is by far the most important part. Right. Marshall Thurber taught me this, and he learned it from Deming, who's the father of quality, and he said the first 15% of anything sets the entire course. So whether it's a meal, a relationship, a habit that you're forming, a job, a business, whatever it is, you have to set that in the beginning and pay extra attention, a lot of extra attention, to make sure that first 15% is right. And then from there, in other words, set it great. Make sure you're great. Then you can end up at good. Right?
Yes, and I totally agree with that. And it's that first 15%. What does it look like? Yeah. If you ask most people that are in relationship, your dream relationship is 20, 30 years from now, you are with this partner that you grow old with, and you are doing amazing things together. I know it because I see it myself. Yeah. When I watch a video or a documentary where they show you these old people, and you ask them, what do you do? And you see the husband is with the wife is with the husband, they do everything together. There is something about doing things together that gives you a good relationship, because it starts already with great. Right. And it's those great things you do together. So, and that's why that formula again. And when you spend time, those 15%, first of all, you put the intention, and what does it look like? I have yet seen a couple that do everything separate that ends up where I want to end up.
Right.
It's simple. I don't care.
They might end up exactly where they want to be, and it might be fantastic, but it's not where you would choose to end up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So really look at yourself. Where do you want to end up with the partner? Yeah. And if where you want to end up with the partner is not seeing yourself in 80, 90 years having the same stories and laughing about the same things and keeping each other healthy the same way, well, maybe you, I don't know, do something different, because it's not going to end there.
Yeah, it's so critical. And this is the thing, again, if you're, when you do a lot of coaching and a lot of training, and then you have a lot of life experience, which is what we've done. We've gone to so many seminars, we've gone to so many coachings, we've built businesses and raised a family, and we're at that age now where we have a little bit of experience, a little bit of gray hair, where we can look back on our life. And I can tell you what I would say to my younger self is set the intention, decide where you want to go. It is so powerful. I mean, they call it goal setting, It's not my favorite word because it's kind of overused and watered down, but I think the intention of being clear of like, where do I want to go? Where do I want this meal to go? Where do I want this flight to go? Where do I want this car to go? I mean, if you get in the car and you start driving, you just want to drive, you can end up wherever you might end up. But if you know you're going to go somewhere, and you can follow the GPS and you can get there. So, but in our lives, we don't do that really well.
No.
And in our relationships, we don't do that really well.
Yeah.
We fall in love. We totally enamored.
There's no intention.
And then it's just like, I don't know where I want to go. I just want to be with you. Right? Okay, that's great. But where do we want to go? Where do we want to be? And that's something that you and I spend a fair amount of time on, is talking about, okay, where do we want to be in 20 years, right? When we're not in our mid-50s, but we're in our mid-70s. Where do we want to be? Like, what does that look like? And what's it going to take for us to get there?
Yes.
How are we going to get from there to here? And it could be a financial goal. It could be a lifestyle goal. It could be a health goal. It could be anything. I want to live in Europe. I want to live on the beach, whatever it is. If you have a direction and you start focusing now for 20 years from now, what are the chances you're going to get there? Very high. Very high. You're focusing now for 20 years from now, you're probably going to make it. If you think, I'll figure it out in the last 2 or 3 years, you're probably not gonna.
No, because you're starting not with great. Right?
Great plan.
Great plan, great body, great mind, great memories. It's like wherever you want to be on your 80s, at 40, you should start working on it, or at least feeling, like already priming yourself, priming your body to get to that altitude. Right? We were talking about it the other day. If they change your heading
in the airplane,
in the airplane, you are not going to get there if the airplane's nose doesn't move and you yourself moving with it. Some action has to be there before even you get to the heading. So that means already if you have a heading, you have to feel that you have to move. Something has to change. Right? So it's the same thing with us human. If you are going to say, I'm going to be with my partner, and 50 years from now, imagine it in your mind that, wow, what do I want? Do I want him to have different friends? Me too, to have different friends. We don't like the same, which I hear all the time, that positive attract, and you don't have to have the same things.
Opposites attract.
I don't know how it works. I just love that there is so many things that I love, that you love, that we love sharing together. Now, I love oyster. He doesn't, so that's why I marry him. That way I don't have to share.
That one you're happy because you don't have to share your oysters. Never.
So little things that you don't share, that's fine. But the main thing of your life, which is wanting to spend time together, if that alone you have decided already is going to be 2 days out of the week, well, you will not be surprised if he end up being attracted somewhere else or doing something else.
He's got 4.5 days the rest of the week to find somebody else he's attracted to because he's out with his friends, because you don't want to spend that time together because you're out with your friends because you want that space, and that's fine. I am not talking about any kind of, this is wrong.
No.
It's just decide where you want to go and look at where is that going to take me.
Yes.
And that's the question I think a lot of people don't ask. Where is this plan going to take me? If I just follow it through with some decent amount of logic, just some, and I talk to people who've done it both ways, you can probably figure out where your plan is going to take you, whatever it is.
Yes.
I talk to a lot of people who have business ideas. They want to start a business and they'll come with an idea. And the first question I'll ask them is, okay, what does success look like for you? And they're like, success looks like I have this great, shop and I'm selling all this stuff. I say, great. What's your sales going to be? $300,000. That would be like the most successful I could imagine. Oh, great. what's the rent? What's it going to cost? How much you're going to make? And then they dial it down. And they're like, okay, your peak of success for that business idea is you could make maybe $80,000 a year. And I said, okay, would that make you happy? And they're like, I didn't really think about it like that. I mean, and that's kind of as big as that business goes. I mean, is that the business you want to be in, where the maximum potential of the business is limited at $80,000? No, it sounds like a job. I'm like, yeah, that's what that is. That's a business job. And a lot of people make those businesses. They're really just jobs.
That's right.
And you're your own boss, and that's great. But it's if you knew that going in, would you still choose it?
Maybe
right?
not.
Maybe
a lot
not.
Of hustle.
Maybe yes. Maybe no. Maybe I
maybe.
love pottery so much, I would choose it no matter what. I want a pottery studio, and I want to train people to do pottery, and I don't care if I only can have this limit on it, right?
Perfect.
Great. So it's the same with anything, though.
Yes.
What's the maximum potential?
Yes.
Where's the maximum potential? And you don't know for sure. I'm not saying you always know, but you can guess. And you can get a fairly good idea of what it is. And if I say, hey, what's the maximum potential for this relationship if we spend 25% of our time together?
Hell no.
Well, it depends, right? There's a range, but let's just compare it. Say, if we spend 25% of our time together, what's the maximum potential? Versus if we spend 75% of our time together, what's the maximum potential?
Well, you know what? I'm sorry to say, I know both. I know people that spend 25% of their time with their partners.
Yeah.
There is nothing that I want for myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's my answer.
Yeah.
Because
the maximum potential of that relationship is?
I'm not saying they're not together. I'm not talking about people, but it's not what I want for myself. It's not why I wanted a partner. Because, the growth that happens with time shared is not something you can trade or no.
Well, I was listening to a child psychologist, and they said, we have this idea of quality time with our kids. And she said, no such thing.
Forget about it.
There's just time.
Yeah.
That's it. Now, there's going to be quality moments inside of that time that you think back on and you're like, wow, that was a moment. But it's not one that you necessarily can plan. It's one that happens inside of the time that you committed.
Absolutely.
Paco de Lucia is the greatest flamenco guitarist ever.
Yes.
And I watched a documentary on him, and I watched this documentary over and over and over again because it's what we played while having dinner at my brother's house for years. So we watched this documentary 50 times.
That's right.
Because there's a lot of music in it, and it was a great background thing. And he said that moments of inspiration just happen, but they happen inside of thousands of hours of practice.
That's right.
Right? So he's like, you're not going to not have any practice or skills and get that moment of inspiration, but you also can't necessarily plan it and say, I'm going to be inspired right now.
Yes.
But it's going to come with the time. We call it saddle time in this family because we're a horse family. And so if you want to be a great rider, you got to put in the saddle time.
Saddle time.
You can't just go, I'm going to take these lessons and I'm going to use efficiency and I'm going to be... You just got to ride that damn horse all the time.
And then the magic will happen. And, we saw it yesterday with Stephen Curry.
Yeah, Stephen Curry. Oh my God. We watched USA versus Serbia.
Just seeing this guy and knowing that every day he's just going to train and throw those 1,000 shoots, 1,500 a day or something.
1,000, 1,500 shots a day he puts in
and you
all
can
the
tell,
time.
you can tell, and that is where the magic is.
Right.
Why? He's doing great. To just get good.
Yeah. He's doing great.
1,500 shots to even get a good shot when I need it.
To even
right
shoot 40% of your accuracy.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like, so everybody who thinks they can just, put in the minimum.
The minimum time and have this great relationship.
Whether it's learning a skill like that, being an athlete, being a musician, being a chef, being a lawyer, being a doctor, being a equine, specialist.
Being a husband,
being a wife,
being a girlfriend, again, this show is to tell you one thing. Take that saying, you can only do good with great.
Yes.
You want a good relationship, you have it to give it your great time. time. It's about time. Because if you don't give the time, you will not catch the right action that will make you build that memories that make you stick together. Because if most of your thoughts is about how you're gonna get out away from this person to go have fun somewhere else, then you're not in the right relationship.
Well, and here's the other thing. It's not always fun, right? I'm sure Steph Curry is like, wow, I don't really feel like shooting 1,500 shots today, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I know anybody who's done anything, there's times you just don't feel like doing it. You're tired.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it. You don't want to go work out. You don't want to take that walk. You don't want to go to the store and get the butter because you don't have any. You just don't want to do it. But you do it because you are saying, this is what it takes.
That's what it
and
takes.
I can't, if I start cutting the corners here and there, Steph Curry wouldn't be Steph Curry if he cut his corners. He just wouldn't.
No,
he
just
might
wouldn't.
be a very, very great basketball player still. He might be, still but he wouldn't be who he is today. He wouldn't be that guy, right? And LeBron James and every other guy on that team, by the way. I mean, Steph went off in the first quarter like something. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
They still almost lost that game, which just goes to show, like,
You can only do
and by the way, the competition out there, if you think if you're my age and you knew what it takes to be great 30 years ago, the game has increased.
Oh my
the
God.
level has increased.
Absolutely.
The boat has risen for everybody. You can't do what it used to take. You have to do more today.
Which is the same applies with you. Let's say 20 years ago, there was no phones. When you come home, you were with your wife. You were with your kids. You created time because there was nothing pulling you away from it, right? So that was easier, and we had maybe better families, right? Today, we all pulled. So we start already not with great and want to do good.
Yeah.
That's not possible. So it's to remind yourself again, if I want this, I have to put on the time. And the time in a relationship, really, where you really can even say if you love the person, starts, so funny, is on Instagram, this old couple, Indian couple, were talking about it. And the husband said, 20 years. It's 20 years before you can say, I love this person.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. That's big.
Yeah.
And they were long time married. But because love is not this love that we repeatedly just say in every word, I love you, I love you, I love you. Because like I tell my kids, show it to me.
Well, you said it to our son the other day. He's like, love you, Mom. And you're like, well, really? It didn't look like it.
Yeah, exactly.
The words aren't real meaningful here.
Exactly. This is not a song that you just repeat and say that if I say it, it's just the label that just blanco on everything. No. Show it to me. If I have to repeat myself 50 times for one thing that you already got, where is the love? Show me the love.
Well,
right?
I mean, when you put love into something, what does it mean? We all know what it means, right?
Exactly.
You put love into a meal. What does it mean? You paid attention.
You pay attention.
Everything was conscious. You put love into a piece of art. What does it mean? It means you were conscious. You think that the Mona Lisa was made by Da Vinci just like, I got it. No, it was a pure love poured into that, and then we can all see it. It's the same with everything.
Yeah.
It's the little things in the relationship, which is another point. Love is not showing up when the big things are calling you. Big game for my son. I got to show up. I'm showing up for the big game. But you never showed up for anything else before the big game. It's showing up for my wife's graduation from something versus being with my wife throughout the entire process of earning that, right?
Yeah.
So it's the little things that matter. It's every single little meal, not the big meal when you have guests over, that matters.
That's right.
And, I can tell you, when we do have guests over and we have that meal, they look at me and just go, do you eat like this all the time? And I say, yes, I do. Every meal is like this.
Well, just to say again, a lot of people ask us, they feel the energy here, and just to tell you, it's for everybody. We can all work on it and set the intention, and again, do good with great. And what does great looks like? It's a question to ask yourself. What would great look like from where I am? Right? Does it mean like I'm gonna spend more time, I'm gonna listen more, I'm gonna do more, I'm gonna pay attention more, whatever that looks like. But from there, you can start really ending up just good. And good is good enough.
Yeah. Good is good. Right? If you're really good, you're good. But you really can't get there without great in your life.
Yes.
So find the places where you can add great. And again, start with the littlest things.
Yes.
Start with, we did a show on greetings. Start with making sure every day you walk out of that house or that you wake up, you greet everybody in the house, right down to your animals.
That's right.
Everybody. Pay, even if it's 5 seconds of attention, pay 5 seconds of focused attention on someone.
Yes.
And watch how they feel.
I know.
It's different.
And
Henry Ford
every
said,
day.
"Do you know why I'm successful? Because I can keep my focus for 5 minutes." It's all 5 minutes, but he could be totally focused for 5 minutes. Most people can't do it.
No.
Not even 5 minutes,
No.
much less a whole day.
Yeah. And every day, make sure you spend time. Doesn't matter quality time or not. Time, period, with your loved ones. Just as simple as that. If you have young kids, you still have them at home. Maybe you can still do it. If they're already out of home, harder. But I know somebody's home, your partner. Start there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start where you're at.
Start where you at.
You can't correct when you're off by saying, "Oh, I should be over there.
Yeah.
Now I can't do anything." No, just wherever you are.
Wherever you are.
Start there. Correct your heading. Correct your attitude. Recalibrate, and then head in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think we did it.
So, well, thank you for spending this quality time with us. And by the way, we decided to put this show out every single week, every Friday.
Yes.
At first, it seemed really easy because, we were excited. We shot a bunch of shows. It seemed like we had months of shows in the can. And now we realize, wow, it's a commitment. It's a commitment of time.
Oh, jeez.
When we're on vacation, we have to bring the cameras, and we have to plan, and we have to have equipment, and we have to have space, and we have to set aside time.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that it's incredibly powerful to have made the commitment to release a show every week. Just that is doing something with us.
That's right.
Notwithstanding you guys who are watching the show, just us.
Yeah.
Just being that committed to say, we're going to release a show every week. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I wake up and go, if we skipped a week, would it be a big deal? But
most of the time I do.
yeah, but there's power in that commitment, which we also talked about in another show. Commitment is so powerful. And so, when you start adding all these concepts together, you're just going to see it's not just one thing that changes your life. It's all of these little things put together, and small steps and small improvements and small transformations, and all of a sudden you look back and you're like, oh, we moved.
That's
We're
right.
somewhere where we're in the right track.
Yeah.
And you can only move forward or back. There's no neutral. Time is passing, so you can't sit there and go, I'm going to just stay in neutral for a while. You just lost a day, right?
Yeah,
If you do neutral for a day, the day is gone, right?
Yeah.
So there's no neutral. That's just drifting back in the current. You either went forward or you went backward. And so choose forward every day, and it doesn't have to be a giant step. You don't have to make 1,000 miles, just a mile, just a little bit. But if your momentum is forward, it's easy to stay forward. If your momentum gets backward, it's very hard to switch it around and get back into forward motion.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That was about doing good with great.
Can only do good with great. So, well, thank you for joining us, and we're happy to have you here. Please comment, please subscribe and like and share this video, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Maybe here.